from betrayal, something really tough, finding out that your partner has been doing something awful, maybe you're trying to work through it, or you've broken up now. Either way, it's tough. It's really, really, really hard. And the daily practices that we do can sort of help our healing and sort of put us on a faster track to healing, or they can kind of prolong the process. So there's a lot of things that we can get into as far as bigger picture, but today I just want to focus on daily practices and small daily habits that can help. And I'll give you examples from some of my clients of their daily practices and what that looks like, and we can talk through that a bit, because this is where healing happens in anything. It's the small habits, it's the small work, it's the baby steps that get us to where we actually want to go. So that's what we're going to get into today. And yes, I am videoing this from my hammock because that's where I'm at today. And that's just what's happening. I'm going to try not to rock too much because I think that will be annoying. But yes, so if you want to go deeper into betrayal trauma, if you want to understand different pieces more, I have a whole playlist of videos on betrayal trauma on my YouTube channel. There's also a lot more coming, so make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, if you want to keep on all of those videos, and always reach out to me if you want support or if you have a question or anything. My information is below in the little box. So let's talk about daily practices. The first thing I want to acknowledge is that every day will look different. So sometimes you will have energy for a bigger assignment, more processing, a longer meditation. You'll have the time and energy to be able to do that. And some days you won't. Some days you won't even have time or energy for anything. But as much as we can build in even a baby little practice, that will help. What will not help is if you beat yourself up for not doing that and just keep adding guilt onto your guilt, onto your guilt, onto your guilt, onto your pain. So that's what we don't want to do. And that is also why with a lot of my clients, we formulate a practice that is best for them. So this is the ideal sort of daily practice that would be great for you to do, to check in, to reset, to process, all of that stuff. But I also give it to them on like a tier system. So this is the smallest little thing you can do if you don't have any time or energy. This is a little more, this is a little more, this is a little more. This is the big one that's maybe an occasional processing when you have a lot of time and energy specifically set aside for that and you're prepped for that. That's not a daily thing. It's just not practical for us to be doing that much processing every day. We have too many other things to get through and to worry about. So that's another thing that I think is really important to understand, because some people will find a practice that's really helpful for them and then they won't have time or energy to do it every day, and then they'll beat themselves up about it and just feel bad because they're not doing it and they should be doing it, and then they feel worse than they did, so the practice actually hurt you instead of helped you, and that is just not helpful. So let's really try not to do that. I know it's hard and that it happens, but let's try not to do that. So as I was thinking about a way to present this, because I usually do it very specifically for clients, so I'll do it exactly on kind of who they are and what they need and all of that. So I was trying to figure out a way that would make sense to put it out there in general, and this is what I came up with. So I think there are 3 parts to a good, simple daily practice. 1, affirmations. 2, some sort of outlet. 3, breathing. So that's kind of the basic thing, right? Affirmation, outlet, breathe. Now those can look really differently. So when I say affirmation, it doesn't have to be a specific affirmation. It can be something positive. It can be a quote that you have or that you read. It can be a picture that you look at that's positive. It can be you just reminding yourself, I'm okay and I will get through this. So it's something positive. Your daily practice needs to have something positive in it, something that reminds you that you are worthy, that you're okay, that you can do this. And that can take a lot of different forms, but that needs to be a piece of it. So that is one piece. The other piece, well, all of them sort of have different kind of facets that we can look at, but the breathing piece is also the same. So I simplified it just to breathe, because sometimes all I want you to do is just consciously breathe. Just consciously take some breaths. Because often when we're stressed and we're anxious and we're dealing with so many heavy things, we get caught up and we just are running around. We're not breathing, right? So just consciously breathing makes a big difference. And we all have time for a few seconds or minutes of conscious breath work, right? That also can expand on the days that you have more energy or you have more time. That can expand into all kinds of things. So that can also be a specific mindfulness practice. That can be a specific meditation practice. That can be something that grounds you. That could be yoga. So that piece also can look different depending on, again, what you have time and energy for. But on the very most simplified level, breathe. Just breathe. And the same with the outlets. So it's really important for us to have outlets. That could be friends that we can just talk to or vent to or process things through, or say, hey, I'm feeling really bad about this and I know it's dumb, or I know I shouldn't be feeling this way, or you can say that kind of in a raw way and they can give you feedback and help build you up and that kind of thing. Therapists can also do that for you as well. And it's really nice to have both, right? To have multiple layers that you can do that and kind of have an outlet to express yourself with. Other helpful outlets are also writing, drawing, music, exercise, right? Outlets look differently, and as many as we can incorporate are great. And however much time we can give to them is great, right? But again, on the most simplified level, just have some small outlet that can kind of give you a little bit of release. And that, like I said, can look really differently. So an example of this with one of my clients, that she's going through a really, really, really rough time right now. So we're simplifying it to the highest degree we can. So in the morning, she says an affirmation, and we have a couple that we prepared for her. She says an affirmation and she consciously breathes. She takes a couple of breaths. She tries to spend a few minutes with that, but sometimes she can only do 30 seconds, a minute, that's fine. And then she goes into her day. And then throughout the day or later in the day, she will message me and express sort of how she's feeling and so she expresses to me what's going on. That's her outlet. She consciously breathes and she says an affirmation. And she can also pull on the affirmations and the outlets throughout the day as she needs to, but sometimes she gets busy and she forgets and she's really stressed, and that's okay. But in the morning, she at least starts her day a little bit more grounded, and then she knows she has the outlet, me, that she can express things to, she can get feedback, she can vent, she can do whatever she needs to do, and she has that outlet. So that's an example of it looking really simple. And really, if we make the time for it, anyone has time for that level, right? And that is all that's helping ground her, that's reinforcing that she's okay, that's kind of reworking some of her self-esteem and negative thoughts, that's processing. There's so much that's happening in that small daily practice. And doing that daily has a huge impact over time. So even if it seems small, that is making a huge difference for her long term. And that's really, really major, because a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, I don't have time for that course, I don't have time to go to therapy. But you have time for a few minutes a day of working on yourself. All you have, that's fine. Again, that adds up, and it adds up in a major way. So that's a small example of that. Other clients who are in a little bit more of a stable place in life, not dealing with as much trauma, not dealing with as much life stress at the moment, they may have bigger assignments. So maybe they have a bigger project that we're working on. I send them maybe longer writing assignments or longer daily check-ins. Sometimes I'll do a daily check-in where they have to name a few things that they're grateful for, talk about how they're feeling that day, talk about what they need, talk about how they can give that to themselves, maybe reaffirm some of their self-worth and their recovery stuff, whatever they're working on, that kind of thing. So that can keep expanding in whatever way we need and whatever way we're able to handle. But again, it doesn't have to. And it's really helpful, like I said in the beginning, to have different options. So have your most simplified option, then have, when you have a little more energy, and then have a little bit bigger option. Maybe that you do once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month. You go and you process and you write out or you talk through more. So those are my tips for a recovery sort of daily practice. And I say, recovery in a general sense. It's more of a healing daily practice, more of a self-work, self-worth healing practice. But remember that it doesn't have to be big to make a big difference, and we don't want to beat ourselves up about it. So choose small things, work on it step by step, keep working, keep resetting, and just keep trying. And you will see great progress if you just keep going step by step.